Here is your fourth grade performance task, writing a narrative. Health check. Can your brain be full? The brain is a seemingly endless library, storing our most precious memories as well as our knowledge. But can the library of the brain ever become full? The answer is no. Since brains are a bit more sophisticated than that, when new information is added, it slowly pushes out old information. In other words, learning new information can lead to forgetting old information. A new study was published in Nature Neuroscience, a science magazine about the brain. In this study, scientists took pictures of what happens inside the brain. This is called neuroimaging. Scientists do this using a machine with powerful magnets, or a machine that tracks blood flow in the brain. The experiment. The study looked at what happens when people remember. Sometimes people can't find the right memory and they remember something similar instead. Similar memories can get in the way and compete with each other. The scientists in the study measured brain activity, or the work the brain did while remembering. People in the study were taught two ideas that were very similar. Then they were asked to remember just one of them, which was called the target memory. The results. The study showed that as people remembered the target memory, brain activity for this memory got stronger. At the same time, brain activity got weaker for the other memory. Also, different parts of the brain had different amounts of change. Different parts of the brain work together to find a specific memory. The hippocampus is a region in the middle of the brain, and it's very important for memory. But the prefrontal cortex in the front of the brain is what chooses between the right memories. The hippocampus is like a search engine, and the prefrontal cortex is the list showing the top choice. In this study, more change was seen in the prefrontal cortex than in the hippocampus. This seems to mean that there are two steps to remembering things well. First, the memory has to be stored, then it has to be searched for without being confused with other similar memories. Better to forget. Sometimes forgetting is helpful. If you lost your bank card and got a new one, the new one would have a new code. Scientists say that each time you remember the new code, you slowly forget the old one. This helps you remember the new, more useful information. Sometimes it is frustrating when you can't forget. Imagine a person who is trying to remember where they parked their car today and could only remember where they parked it last week. Forgetting old information can be helpful so that it doesn't get in the way of new information. Most studies have looked at how we learn and remember new information, but now scientists are seeing how important it is to forget. Studies are beginning to discover how forgetting works. Memory problems. Some people remember too much. A very small number of people can remember every detail about any day in their lives. This may sound great, but it can be a problem. Some of these people have a hard time thinking about the present or the future because they always feel caught in their past memories. We would all go through this if we couldn't forget old information and if our brains did actually fill up. Some people remember too little. Some people with epilepsy or stroke forget what they just learned, even within a few hours. It's possible that they aren't able to store their memories. People with epilepsy go through moments in which their bodies shake uncontrollably. Strokes happen when blood isn't able to reach the brain. Forget so you remember. Remembering and forgetting are two sides of the same coin. Forgetting is our brain's way of organizing memory so the most useful memories are found easily. Forgetting may even be one way to make sure our brains don't get too full. You may not know it, but you can recognize 5,000 faces. Scientists have learned that humans can recognize an incredible 5,000 faces. We can recall the faces of loved ones, celebrities, and strangers on the street. The study was announced on Wednesday, October 10th. Through most of history, humans lived in small groups of 100 or so people. In the last few hundred years, the way people live together has changed drastically. Now we meet thousands of people each day. The study was done by scientists at the University of New York in England. We meet thousands of people in busy social environments on our smartphones and on our television screens every day. Our ability to remember faces helps us process all of these people. In everyday life, we are used to identifying friends, colleagues, and celebrities, and many other people by their faces, Rob Jenkins said. He is a scientist who studies how humans think and behave. Jenkins works at the University of York, but no one has established how many faces people actually know, he said. The study was published in the science journal, The Proceedings of the Royal Society B. Memory exercise. Jenkins and his team asked participants to do a memory exercise. First, they wrote down as many faces as they could remember of people they knew well. Then they had to do the same thing with people they recognized but did not know personally. They were also shown thousands of images of famous people and asked which ones they recognized. They were shown 2 photos of each to make sure they got it right. The scientists found that participants could recall a huge range of faces. Each person could remember roughly 1,000 to 10,000. We found that people know around 5,000 faces on average, Jenkins said. He said that our ability to tell dozens of people apart also allows us to remember thousands of people. Mistaken identity. The study may also help scientists better understand cases of mistaken identity. This happens when people confuse someone with another person. It happens sometimes when someone is accused of a crime. People recognize familiar and unfamiliar faces differently, according to Jenkins. Unfamiliar faces are often misidentified. Familiar faces are identified very reliably, but we don't know exactly how. He said, in other words, we can remember faces we know well, like our friends and celebrities. We struggle to identify faces of people we've only met once. The team was focused on how many faces humans actually know. However, they said it might be possible for some people to continue learning an unlimited number of faces. They just need to be given enough practice. They pointed out that the brain can memorize a limitless number of words and languages. What stops people in study is study time and motivation. Participants remembered more faces than would have been helpful when humans were first evolving. In the past, humans would likely meet only a few dozen people. Studies suggest surprise memory in dogs. Dogs can remember tricks, but can they remember events the way people do? Remembering an experience is called an episodic memory. Such life memories are tied to places, times, and feelings. They are important to people. There are other types of memory. For example, your phone number or each state's capital are semantic memories. They are memories for facts. However, episodic memories are the ones that people laugh about and write songs about. Could a dog have episodic memories like people do? Scientists did a study on whether animals, besides humans, can have an episodic like memory. Their results were published in a science journal. Memory test for dogs. Claudia Fugaza studies animals in Budapest, Hungary. The first job for her and her study group was to make a memory test. The test would target episodic memory. It would rule out anything involving learning. Learning uses semantic memory. People who study memory agree that a key to episodic memory is how memories are saved. They must be stored without the knowledge that will need to be remembered later. A test of episodic memory has to be a surprise. The study group in Budapest got the help of 17 pet dogs. Dogs happily work with humans. It makes them a good type of animal to test the evolution of thinking power. Evolution is an idea or theory about how life has developed over the years. The dogs in the study were pets who were easily trained to imitate a simple action. The action might be looking into a bucket or touching an umbrella. They were given the command, do it. Earlier studies had shown dogs could remember such actions later. To test episodic memory, the scientists had to make sure that the dogs would not expect to imitate the actions. They had to make the dogs expect something else. Now, after watching their owners perform some actions, the dogs got the command, lie down. Can dogs have surprise memories? Making the dogs expect something other than to imitate by lying down was important for the test. It had to be a surprise. The scientists tried to show the dogs a new expectation to lie down in 2 ways. First, they received training until they would lie down right after seeing the actions. It was one sign they were expecting the lie down command. A second sign that dogs were expecting a lie down command was if they acted surprised when they did not get one. When dogs see something that surprises them, they look at it longer. Next came the do it command. It was the episodic memory test. Instead of the expected lie down after dogs saw the last action, they instead got the command to imitate. First, they did seem surprised, looking longer at their owners than earlier. Then, nose to an umbrella, paw on the chair, most of the dogs imitated their owner's actions. To see if they would remember the action after a long time, the dogs left the testing area for an hour. Then they came back for a second command to imitate. Again, many dogs imitated the action they had seen. The study is one of a handful suggesting episodic like memory in animals. The dog lab in Budapest is one of the many around the world. Pups in Connecticut can be involved at Yale University. Dogs in North Carolina can help out at Duke University. Their studies help us to understand how dogs and humans think about the world. Dogs have been our partners for many years. They share our homes and our work. Now we know they might share some of our memories. Your assignment. Who is the most unforgettable person you have ever met? What do you remember most about meeting him or her? Write a narrative that shows what this person did to make him or her so unforgettable. Develop your ideas clearly and use your own words, except when quoting directly from the sources. Be sure to reference the sources by title or number when using details or facts directly from the sources.